Welcome to the Wrong Kind of Music podcast. We have a crawling special. The Crawling have got a new album coming up. They're launching it this week. The release date is next week. So I'm joined with Andy Clarke from the Crawling. Nice to have you.
Thanks very much for having me.
We'll get stuck straight into this.
Let's do it.
For those unfamiliar, who and what are the Crawling?
Crawling, three-piece death doom metal band from Northern Ireland. Just doesn't get any simpler than that.
Spot on. You've obviously been in probably loads of bands, not all that I'd be aware of. The big one that I would think of and remember is Honey for Christ.
Yes.
From a long time ago. How does the Crawling, in terms of what you're trying to achieve, in terms of where you're going, how does that compare to being back in a band like Honey for Christ?
It was a long time ago now, so it's sort of strange trying to go back to see what I was trying to do then as opposed to what I'm doing now. Because actually I haven't been in a lot of bands. I started Honey for Christ in 1996, 97, and I ran up until a few years before the Crawling started. Did a few bits and pieces with other people, but not a proper band unit. That was the only thing. When Honey for Christ started, it was simply the 21-year-old who wants to be a rock star. It was that simple. Play guitar, bang your head, do gigs. There wasn't a real goal involved in it. I think it evolved as I got older, because the band was together for 15 years, so by the time we were about 6 or 7 years in, we'd done a lot of good shows. Like, we did Bloodstock in 2007, you know what I mean? So we realised that there was potential there to try and do something with it, but I don't think I ever really worked out how to do it or where we were actually trying to go. And then it just, obviously, it kind of stopped whenever the drummer at the time died, so that sort of stopped Honey for Christ completely. So then the Crawling started.
I'm guessing starting off a new band like the Crawling off the back of Honey for the Christ.
Honey for the Christ.
There was a lot of lessons learned then from that first band. Here's the things we've done wrong, we can then correct them when it comes to
although you do tend to repeat yourself without being able to help it, you know. Yeah. But once the HFC finished, to be honest, I actually took a backseat. I didn't play guitar for 3 years. I just didn't touch it. I just had no interest in it. I think it sort of burned the whole band thing out a bit, doing what we were doing. So when it came to start the Crawling then, I think the thing I took most away from Honey for Christ was that quality was very, very important for me anyway. You know, it's what I like in other bands. I like high quality music, merch, a show, all those sort of things, and presentation. I'd done bits of it with Honey for Christ, but because we were in it for so long, you couldn't see a lot of the holes, you know, see what was sort of things I'd made a mess of. When the Crawling started, it was like, we have to come out with as high a quality band as we can from the outset, and that's been applied since we've started, you know. So even our first gig was like, we had to have some sort of light show. The tones, guitar tones, bass tones, everything had to be nailed, and we couldn't. I'm not a fan of putting out a Facebook page with 28 likes and here's an iPhone recording of our rehearsal studio. Yeah. It was like, I don't want to do that. I want to put the band out with an intent, which is why we had professional photographs, and at the time it was quite good for us, you know, with a proper lyric video, which was sort of more popular 4 or 5 years ago. You know, proper paid for footage and stuff like that, rather than, I say, the rehearsal video with your phone, you know. So it's that sort of quality, I think, is what I took away.
An attempt to be professional from day one.
Yeah, just the things that worked. You know, I do remember, Honey for Christ, there were certain things that worked, and the more professional you were and the better you presented yourself and your band, people were more likely to take attention of you and basically give you stuff that you want to do.
You mentioned a music video there. You've done a stack of music videos. I think I counted 8 this morning in total.
Yeah, actually, I can't tell you how many we have, which is a good thing, I think. But yeah.
How important do you think music videos are in this day and age?
For me, I think it's critical.
Yeah.
At this period of time. But again, the way it's with the band, I try to think of what I like. You know, what do I like to see in a band? Where do I consume, if you want to use that word, music mostly, and what gets me into bands. And video is a big thing, I think, you know, and certainly for me, I'm a big YouTube fanatic. I watch a lot of YouTube stuff, and you know, even if I'm on my computer, I've got another monitor, I have numerous ways of listening to music in my house, you know, and it's like, I'll put YouTube in the other window, and then you just let it tick over. You know, when you stick on whatever the new Behemoth single, and then it ticks on something else, and then something else comes up, and it gets your attention. It's like, oh, it's really good actually. Who is this band?
Yeah.
You Facebook it, you Instagram, whatever. So I think music videos are very, very important. It's something that I've tried to utilise with the crawling, you know.
Yeah. And then another thing you guys do a lot is the vlogging, which I've said before, I think it's a great way for bands to sort of interact with their fans and keep a sort of a constant flow of we're still live, we're still doing things.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? How did the vlogging come up?
I'm not sure how it actually started. I suppose one of those things sort of happens by mistake. I don't think there was a particular reason when I did start it. I can't remember what the first vlog even was. No, I really, really can't remember. I do remember chatting to Alan Alvaro from Primordial at the Siege of Limerick a lot of years ago, and we were chatting about the band thing. He was saying how he knew we just started the crawling. I was like, how you been? How's it going? He says, I did see a CD with Zero Tolerance or something. That was really good. And he was like, you need something that differentiates you from other bands. And we were going through a few ideas, and said about the video thing, because I had an idea of some sort of video thing with the band. And he was like, it's difficult. You know, you need to find something that's natural but not contrived and all that sort of stuff. So it's sort of, I shot something a long time ago, but I looked like a newscaster. You know, it was like a video of me at a table with the crawling logo here, and it was like, tonight on the crawling. I was like, so it just looked fucking terrible. It was like, no, that's definitely not working. So I abandoned it, and then I think it was when I started recording Anatomy Lost, the debut album. I just thought, you know, with Honey for Christ, I regret not capturing a lot of these things in the memories, literally from the memory point of view. Not enough photos, not enough video. So I thought, let's just record everything we do. So there are hundreds and hundreds of hours of the Anatomy Lost footage. And then we were working with a PR company at the time, bringing it out, and it was like, have you any content we can do? And I was like, we've got a load of video of this sort of stuff. I was like, that's brilliant, do that. So I started editing it, and then it worked out that if you just put it into 3 and 4 minute clips from 10 hours, it's actually half interesting. You know? So that's kind of where it started. And now, as you say, I remember chatting to you about it, and you were like, the vlogs, I really like it, and it sticks in my head. It was a way to continue to communicate with people that are into the music, because we can't tour as much as I would like to for 1,000 reasons. But the video vlogs you can put together, you know, and keep it going on a semi-regular basis. And I think that's important for bands, to keep you top of news feeds, to keep people coming back to your YouTube channel to see what's happening, or check your social media to see where the band's at. Yeah. And then they might see a gig. I was like, oh fucking, they're actually playing a gig. Amazing. You know.
Back in 2016, you went through the Metal to the Masses Belfast process.
We did.
You guys went and played Bloodstock. You're probably sick to the back teeth talking about this.
No way. No, it's great talking about Bloodstock. I'm happy to talk about that.
Just, overall, how has that experience helped the band? How has it helped you sort of grow and push forward?
I do think the Metal to Masses was the process itself taught us a lot. I think if you take it right back and work your way to where we are now, leading up to the Metal to Masses competitions, it was like, if we're going to enter this, we need to have a goal. What is the goal? And I was like, the goal is to play Bloodstock. I was like, how can you make that happen? You have to be as good as you can possibly be all the time when you're playing these competitions. The gigs, I mean, only were, I think it was 3 gigs, was it, we played, including the final maybe. It was quite small compared to some of them. So that made us, we went to the rehearsal space and we played a click track in rehearsals, but we don't use it live. So it was like, we need to be better. We need to be better at playing the songs. Click track makes you play better, but I don't want to use it live because it takes a bit of enjoyment out of it for me personally. I know plenty of bands use them to good effect, but I don't like it. So we did that, and then it was visually what can we do? We need to make sure we look alright, you know, and then the scrims started, we used those, and then lighting and that sort of thing. So that was the start of it. And then you get through the competition, we got selected to play Bloodstock, and then it was like, okay, now you're playing Bloodstock, what do we do with that? You have to try and meet people, you have to, you know, push the festival as best as you can. Then when we got there, you had to play, which was amazing, but it seems like such a small part of the whole experience. And then you got to meet people, and you got to see how festivals worked. You got to watch how other bands behaved, and you could see, oh, I'll do that, and I'll take that, and it's just ammunition for the next time you do something. I just watched what everyone was doing, and I made a lot of mistakes as well. There's a lot of things I should have done, a lot of stuff that I didn't do. Didn't speak to enough people. I didn't speak to enough people who were watching us. The promotional side of things, I could have done more. So it was things like that you learn, and you do the next festival and you apply it, and improve. Now obviously we got to play Metal Days out of it as well.
That's the next thing I was going to ask. What sort of opportunities came out of that then?
Well, obviously the Metal Days thing was the biggest thing, you know.
Is that Slovenia? Is that right?
Yeah. It was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But also the Bloodstock thing, it puts your name out there, but it's only for a minute. You have to stay on it, or you just disappear. Because there's a lot of bands doing Metal to Masses, and a lot of high quality bands, and it's almost now past the music, because if you're there, you're kind of good enough.
Yeah.
So it's not about the music as such; it's about what you do with it afterwards.
I know exactly what you mean about it just being a moment, because I remember
that was a flash.
One of the bands we seen, I think it was 2016, was Burning the Dream, a band from Glasgow.
Okay. And
I remember coming away from their show going, that was absolutely amazing. They were so good. I haven't listened to them since. I haven't picked up a CD, and it's so easy to do.
It's not symptomatic of the band. It's just
there's a lot of music out there, and sometimes bands you see that you enjoy just kind of drift off.
So I learned that it was just, you have a moment now where there is a bit of a spotlight on you, so try and keep going. And I say, because we can't do the touring thing as much as I'd like, and that's where the video came from. It was working, and it does create interest, so it was like, we need to stay on top of this. And I also learned that because the album was coming out shortly after that, I think we did the album April 2017, so there was the lead up from Bloodstock to the album, and then the festival offers sort of came in then, and then that happened, and then it was like that started to fade off, and the videos come out, and I kept just all about keeping your head afloat, and then it was like, now we need another album to try and spark it up another level, which is half the plan.
As far as pushing the band and progressing the band, how much of a challenge would you say the Irish Sea poses? And what I mean by that is, I've heard a lot of people talk about bands from here and saying, if they were from England, they'd have made it by now. If they were from England, they'd be playing here, they'd be playing there. But that wee strip of water can be a big... How much of a challenge would you say that is for bands?
It is a challenge. I mean, it's geographical, so it's not like people are making it up. There's a fucking bit of water in between us, and it costs £400 to walk over it. It's that simple. It's mathematics. To do any gig in England is £400, and it's also a day's travelling. It's an overnight ferry to Liverpool, or you did go over to, what do you call it, place, Scotland, and then go down, and it's just like, it's a fucker. It exists, and it's a massive challenge, and anyone says otherwise hasn't done it. So yeah.
Do you think there's bands
that difficult?
It's harder for us to even just something as simple as getting the name out there, because we're over on this little rock? Yeah,
well, I mean, England and Scotland, Wales, it's a big body. Like, I mean, a lot of bands make a career out of touring up and round. I don't necessarily mean heavy metal, but all those boy bands, I mean, they made a fucking career out of it. They just toured constantly around England. So we don't, for us to go over and do that, you can't do, if you were based in London for sake of argument or whatever, somewhere in England, you can drive 5 hours, play a gig, stay over, come home, and go to work on Monday. And you can do that for as many weekends as you like. It's a tank of petrol. You know what I mean? And like a tenner in a hostel. The expense is minimal. Whereas over here, if you did 2 weekends in a row, you're in about £1,000. It's literally the difference between £1,000 and 150 quid. So whenever a Northern Ireland band goes over to England, there's just massive expense involved in it, and that is a challenge. And then when you do go where you want to be for something, you don't want to just do one date. You want to do 2 or 3, and then you want to try and make it something, an event to play. But it's when you're still in the lower tier, you can't just go, listen, could we play Bloodstock, because that's a bit more worthwhile. Alright, I'll get on to that.
And then obviously the reverse is true for getting bands coming over here. There's fewer places for them to come, so
well, I think I've noticed that even the Irish scene, it's increasingly difficult to play shows. We've even in our short career, we're not even together 4 years yet, where you try and go back to promoters that put us on in 2015, like, I'm not doing it anymore, it's horrible, I'm just not doing it. I was like, fuck, crap, that was part of my plan, mate. You've kind of ruined my day.
The new album's coming up.
It is.
Wolves in the Hideous White. How would you say this new album compares to your previous album, Anatomy of Loss?
Well, it's the same band, it's the same guitar players and the same bass player and drummer, so it's not a million miles away. It's just I think it's a more mature effort. It was very, very focused. I think that was the difference. I think with any band with a debut album, you have all the time in the world to write your debut album, which we did, which was great. And then you have a much shorter time to write your second album. So that itself made it different because it was so focused. You know, a lot of my loss was just keep writing songs. We have 7 now. Let's put them on one CD. This was, we have to create an album, and we have, I think when we started writing it, we had 9 months to get it together. So that's what we did. So I think that focus made it very different from the previous one. The songs are more thought out. There's a more mature edge to them. Yeah, it's just that, and it's a grittier album than the last one. You know, I think it's a lot more direct.
So I've listened to it quite a few times now, and one of the things that's really stood out to me about it was with the Crawling, you've always had that theme of misery.
Mm-hmm.
But I always felt there was sort of contrast between that miserable sound and like rage. There was rage within that first album. With the newer album, it sways more towards the misery. Is that something you'd agree with? Was it intentional?
Yeah, I think, I'm not really sure. Not even the last thing. It was grief born. You know, that's where it came from. It was a lot of that shit happening with the band at the time, and I think when you're grieving, there is that rage that goes with it. You know, because you're just completely abandoned by people, and it's extremely irritating. You know, when you have that anger. With the new one, yeah, I do think lyrically, especially, it's more because it's all about, say, the lack of people being incapable of maintaining human relationships. You know, now you're trying to force something that naturally we're not even supposed to do, and that's quite a depressing and leveling thought. You know, and that's what the whole album is about. So I suppose realistically, it is sort of more on the what's the point side of things rather than getting angry about it. You know,
there's sort of a level of misery and despair within that album, and I was wondering, is that a true reflection of how you feel about the world, or would you say you kind of ramp up or exaggerate that to make the music?
I think I think I focused more on how I felt at certain periods, and then just take that and put it over a larger area. So it's not reflective of the way I feel about everything. But there are, I mean, everyone, we all do it. You know, you drink 10 tins of beer, you sit there and you go, seriously? You know, it's what happens, you know, where something happens and you just like, you know, this is just fucking miserable. Where I am right now is the most miserable experience I've ever had. Mm-hmm. So that is absolutely accurate. But we all feel that way about certain times.
That's the inspiration.
Yeah, and as you take that and then you write a song about it and you just keep putting yourself back where you were and thinking about those things. I tend to write things down as well. When I feel that way, I just take my phone out and write lots of sort of words and things or how I'm feeling, and then I go back to it, drink a load of beer, and I'm right back there. And it's like, yeah, that's horrendous. But it's not how I feel all the time, but I'm able just to go back to that and then put it into a song. And it's not necessarily about how I feel, it's what I see other people feeling as well. You know, when you sort of see things and you look back on it and go, I remember that wasn't good. You know, so...
one of the things we've seen about the band, if anyone follows the vlogs, you'll see that pretty much everything you guys do is DIY from start to finish, writing songs right through the recording and mastering process. And you can tell through the vlogs that that's without doubt a frustrating process.
It's fucking horrendous.
Why do that? Is there a desire to have full control over everything, or is it budgetary, or? I mean, why not just go into a studio for 3 days and walk away and wait for the album to be put in front of you?
I think it's all those things, basically. I am a complete control freak. Anyone that knows me will tell you, if he's going to do it, can we just keep out of his fucking road? Because he's going to do it his way anyway. I do take advice, don't get me try to take advice and try to be open to the ideas. But I know where I want to go. I have to go there. I like to go on my own, you know. But the budget side of things is massive. I think any band, especially at our level, has a collection of people and a pool of money to go with it, and it's what you do with it. Where do you want to put the money? And if you want to put it here, can you do it yourself and put the money elsewhere? With the Crawling, if I produce it and master it and record it and do all those fucking horrible things, we can save $2,000 by doing that. And then we can put that into music videos, and it was like, how hard is it to shoot a music video? I don't know, YouTube it. So on my second window here, when I'm doing other shit, I have video tutorials and how to edit and Final Cut and Photoshop and that sort of thing. So it was like, well, let's try this, because my wife's a photographer, so she has a fuckload of cameras. I was like, does your camera do video? Yes, why? You know, it was like, you're going to shoot a video next weekend? It was like, oh fuck. So then we sort of did the video thing, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it out if I didn't think it was good enough. So I think our videos work. I'm totally happy with the way the videos worked. I was like, now I don't need to pay for that. And it was like, you know, you're paying artwork for posters or whatever. It was like, can you learn Photoshop? So I learned Photoshop. I don't need to pay someone for posters. Then it came to, okay, what can we afford to do with this? You can put money into PR, you can put money into management companies, booking agents, to then get to where all this shit, what it's actually for, which is putting music out to people. And I found this pool of money being put here, I felt was more beneficial for us. Whereas I know there's bands who do the reverse, like Stranglewire put all their money into production, but their CD sounds fucking amazing. I think ours is very, very good, and again, I wouldn't put it out if it wasn't good enough. But it's not Skyhammer Studios, you know. Fuck me, like it's the law, you know. So it's just, I think it's just allocation of funds and resources, and for us, I think it works well.
The gig coming up on Thursday night is in the Empire. What should we expect?
Excitement, and we are really excited about this. We've only done a few shows of the new material, so there'll definitely be a change in how we're going to deliver the set. Again, it's one of those things we've thought out, you know, what can we do to be better? You know, what makes a live set from Gajira and Bloodstock or whatever, or Behemoth or fucking AC/DC, what makes that so good compared to what we were doing? So we've thought hard about how a set runs. Say all this sort of stuff people might pick up on, they might not, you know. But proper selection of songs and a good running set, you know. But I think we're all a bit hyped about this and that enthusiasm, certainly from our point of view anyway.
The support bands on the night are Naively, Disconnect and Conjuring Fate. Just out of curiosity, who decides whenever you've got a show coming up with Shizney, it's your launch? Do you guys decide who the support is? Does the promoter decide? How does that work?
It depends who's putting it on. You know, the likes of this show, Shizney were heavily involved in the supports. I had ideas of what I wanted to do, but it didn't tie in with the format, so I had to rethink that. In terms of the actual bands, I personally selected the bands from Belfast to play, so that was completely down to me, you know. But I mean, you want bands again that deliver a good live set, have a good presentation, you know, the music video side of things, bands that can put content out leading up to the show, which is why the three bands we have work very, very well. And it's also important to get bands that haven't been playing around that time, so that there's some sort of excitement about the gig. And you know, there's no point in putting on other bands that are playing the week before or the week after. It's totally pointless.
We have said that on 10 times in the podcast about bands that just play too much, and it just, what's the point in going to see a band if you know you can go see them again too?
Yeah, that's it, and it's very, very difficult to manage, for us included, but I think that's why that bill is going to work really, really well. All the bands are excited about it, they haven't played in a while, and they're all high quality acts, you know.
For the gig, you've done a few things that I haven't seen other people do to promote gigs. You've done like a Meet the Bands series of videos on social media. You also sent out personal invites.
We did.
With little stamps that means you can potentially win a prize.
Yeah.
What's the thought process behind all that? Because it does seem to be above and beyond anything I've seen before for a local gig. Yeah,
well, it was one of those things. We had the launch was booked for March this year, and then you know you book an album launch and you're going, yeah, okay, well the album's going to be coming out, everyone's going to be really interested, and thousands of people are going to come and buy all our shit, you know, and then you sort of wake up in the morning and you go, no one's going to go. Oh fuck, no one's going to go, what are we going to do? So, and then more and more gigs started to spring up in November, and it's like, oh fuck, and it's a Thursday, and fuck, it's the Empire, and fucking no one goes to the Empire for metal gigs, and fucking no one goes out on Thursday, everybody hates me anyway, so what is the point? You know, so it was like, okay, relax. So what can we do to make this something different? What would I like? You know, I was like, what's cool now? So I thought about, you know, it used to be Facebook notifications was cool, and then it was like, fuck, I got an email. Jesus Christ. And now it's like, when's the last time you got something through the door? You know, an actual physical letter. So I thought, yeah, let's physically invite people to come to the show and make it feel something special. And then as usual, I started to go off on a tangent of I wanted someone to calligraphy handwrite it, and then I thought, can I learn calligraphy? The answer is no, by the way. So yeah, and then the wax seal it was like, you want something to identify this as this is different. This isn't just a fucking thing you get through the post, you know, to the latest offer in the co-op. It's specific for you, it's specific for the people, and it's specific for crawling fans. So the wax seal thing came up, so I got a stamp made so you can stamp all the wax for the rave, and it was very cool. And I was like, okay, well, people are going to come out and, you know, invest in our band with their time and their effort. How can we thank people for that? So it was like different colour seals, different colour. You'll get a different gift if you bring it in the merch store at the gig, you know. So there are a certain number of letters that have a stamp, and they're guaranteed to get a momentum of the gig. And then there's other colour stamps that are something very specific, which are a complete one-off, and then there's a very specific one stamp that gets you something completely different on top of that. So
awesome.
It was just something to get just people interested in the gig, and the Belfast gig is going to be a very unique experience. It is literally for people that come to that gig. If you're not at that gig, you'll never experience it again, most likely, because the lead up to it's completely different, you know. And it was the same with the bands. I was trying to get, you know, find a way for people that come and will probably know us, but it was like, what about the support bands, or what about people that might come and see them that don't know us? It was like, how can we bring that into one thing? So I thought a 60-second interview as such with the bands. So I just contacted the bands and had a chat with them, like, and just to give an insight. And it's cool because whenever you watch them all back to back, well, the bands are so different and everyone's into different stuff, you know. It was quite cool. Worked alright.
We've sort of touched on this a bit, but the Crawling limit themselves to only playing Belfast 3 times a year.
Yes.
Tell us about that strategy. What's the reason for that?
Well, it's sort of what we touched on earlier. It's just it's difficult to get people to come to shows as it is. There's only a finite amount of time and money and effort people are prepared to invest in, and there's 1,000 other gigs going on. So why am I going to come and see your band? All the Northern Ireland bands are very high quality. Everyone's good enough to obtain a crowd. It's just the way I find it is if you're strict how often you play, people will then talk about it and be interested. And I think that's how you get numbers to a gig. It's part of it. There's no point in not doing anything and then just playing once a year and like, what? Who? So it's find the balance between keeping your persona and keeping the band name out there and restricting the amount of gigs you do. So we've only really applied it in the last two years, and I think it's worked quite well. So I'm going to continue with that.
Okay. With everything you've talked about, you know, making the videos yourselves, potentially even learning calligraphy, you know, putting the albums together yourselves, all your merch. Some people, including myself, have referred to the Crawling as the hardest working band in Northern Ireland. How do you feel about that moniker?
Well, I quite happily wear that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. We could always do more. I could definitely do more. There are times where I have sat and watched Star Wars for the 50th time and went, was that the best use of 2 hours? You know what I mean?
Yes.
We could always do more. Definitely could do more. I'm still lazy. I still like to sit about and do nothing. I like to get drunk and just watch YouTube videos of bands, and I'm, you know, don't want to watch on my own, or to watch other people in case to see what I watch. You know, so we could definitely do more. The other thing is, it depends what you're spending your time on, what the output is from it. You know, people judge people, likes of bands, like, you know, oh, I haven't done anything, I haven't done it in ages, but you don't know what bands are doing, and you don't know how productive they are with their time, you know. So there are bands, I mean, everyone's rehearsing every week. You know, there's bands that are rehearsing maybe 4 and 5 times a week. We don't do that. We only rehearse before a show, so we don't invest a lot of time in rehearsals unless we have to. But I know there are bands that practice 3 or 4 times a week. Bands like, who have we seen lately? Hideous, their guitar players are fucking phenomenal. Like their technical and musical ability is outstanding. I do not invest that amount of time in my instrument. I am a terrible guitar player. You know, I'm just not very proficient. I don't really like guitars very much. I like being in a band. You know, so hardest working band in Belfast, fuck, who knows. There's definitely guys putting more work in than I do on their guitar. That is without a shadow of a doubt. So it's too hard to judge.
Okay. Favourite gig you've ever played?
I want to throw tea by myself first. I think it's a toss up. I think Metal Days, I think was probably it's my go-to gig for as an overall experience. Yeah, it was just phenomenal. When someone was wheeling your drummer's drum kit out with him sitting on it, you know, as it literally wheeled his kit out because they swapped the kits because we were on such a big stage, and the whole backstage area and the fucking crowd was enormous, and it was a proper outdoor festival. Like, there was no debate. It wasn't inside at all, you know, and it was Slovenia, and there was a river and trees, and it was just amazing. We get treated so well, and it was chaos getting to it. And obviously, it was all linked back to Metal of the Masses, and it was just part of such a long thing, you know, the investment in it. So that was definitely a standout. That, and we played Opium in Edinburgh in May this year, or March, I can't remember when. And yeah, that was brilliant. It was just one of those shows. It was just small venue, dark, smoky. Crowd wasn't massive, but it was fucking engaging. Like, they were right in our faces, and it just was so good. We played a 15-minute headline set, and then they've asked for an encore, and all I had left was Catatonic. It's fucking 9 minutes long. You know, so we played for, like, you know, just the guts of an hour in Opium, and everyone bought shit and got to meet people. It was brilliant. So that's one of my standout shows for some reason. But I tend to have a good time playing live anyway. So
you got one of your tracks on the Metal Hammer cover CD this month.
We did.
Yes. How did that come about?
Don't know.
Don't know.
Don't know. We are working with Enzo Management at the moment, and it came. They just we were actually playing Mammoth Fest at the time, and our manager Rachel messaged me and was like, "Metal Hammer cover mate? Yeah, no." I was like, "Well, yeah, okay." Really? So that was it. I'm not really sure what the process was for that, so yeah, that was it. I just had to sign a form and send it back.
A couple of people actually said to me that must have cost a few quid, but am I right in saying it doesn't?
It didn't cost anything.
No.
Not that I'm aware of, at least. I didn't give any extra money, and I don't know whether the management company paid extra money, but I doubt it. No, I don't think there was any money involved in it. You can pay for it, like, you know, I've paid in the past. I mean, we paid, I think it was it Zero Tolerance? It was like 100 quid or something to put a CD on it, or put a track on the CD, like.
Yeah.
There's no secret, everyone knows this shit, like, you know. It's like I say, it's how you invest your money.
Sure.
You know.
What's the end goal for the crawl?
Death. I don't know. Funny, I was thinking about this week, because obviously there's been so much emphasis on getting the album out and what we can do to make it what it's hopefully going to become, and then it's going to be out, and I'm going to be sitting going, now what? So to be brutally honest, I'm not entirely sure where the end goal is. There's still the 16-year-old in me who's going, you can do this, you know, can you do this for a living? Can you be the rock star? I like, fuck, why not? Fuck it. So there's part of me is thinking, can I bring this to a point where I could do this for a job in any possible way? I don't mean perhaps just the crawling, but the whole band music thing. Business. You know, is there a way to do that? That's something. In terms of, obviously you probably just mean specifically for the band. I'm not totally sure. I'm thinking in longer blocks than I used to. It used to be I thought a month in advance, then it was 6 months. I mean, now I'm definitely in the year and a half now, because I'm already thinking about the next album. You know, when's the time scale going to be for that? So yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's just get out and try and get the festival thing is something I really tend to enjoy. I think it's a good use of our time, effort, and money. So I think if we can push ourselves into the festival circuit and move into that on a more regular basis, that would be great. So that's my current goal.
Yeah.
And not spend every single penny I have this year would be fantastic.
And then last question, the question you asked everyone else: are you going to Metallica this man?
No, I am not.
No,
you're
not going.
No, I'm not going. I don't like Metallica very much. It'll be fucking chaos. I have complete admiration for anyone going to put themselves in that environment. It's like whacking, but everyone's going to see one band. Everything channeled into one fucking place. Oh fuck! And Northern Ireland people drunk. Fuck.
Claire's talked me into going. I was kind of
on
the fence,
fuck.
But
No.
We're going by his wife.
What?
We're going by his wife, sure.
Right now.
Yeah, Carrie's going. I mean, yeah, for a better. I just think it's crazy. I like Ghost. I'm sort of getting into Ghost now, and I do like Metallica, but it's a very specific sort of couple of albums and genre, sort of the times. I did look at their set list, and I just was like, I didn't recognise like 7 songs off that, I guess.
Serious?
Yeah, well, there was not dramatization, but there was a lot of stuff. I was like, I'd never even heard of that song. Like, just hadn't heard of it, you know. So they appealed for the amount of effort required to it, and many people are going to it. Like, seriously, what's the capacity? 80,000 or something?
Something like that. Yeah, it's ridiculous. 80,000
people from Northern Ireland that haven't seen alcohol for fuck knows how long are going to get drunk from 9 a.m, and oh fuck no.
It's the only way to deal with it, though.
Oh fuck. You can't get drunk. Well, you can't remember it anyway. You know?
Wouldn't be the first time. Anyway, anything that you would like to cover that we haven't touched on?
No, I tend to talk a lot, so I probably talk about everything.
So when's the album out?
The album is officially released on Friday the 16th of November.
And where can we get it?
Everywhere. It's certainly everywhere online. Your standard streaming services are all covered: iTunes, Spotify, Bandcamp, Deezer, all that stuff. Sales wise, Amazon's probably your best bet. We've worked with Code 7, so they distribute everything through all the sort of larger online retailers. Physical stores, to be honest, I'm not sure. You can certainly order from any physical retailer, but we send a couple of boxes of CDs over to the distributor and they decide where they go. So don't know where you can buy the CD as such. Feeling that it's better if everyone buys through our Bandcamp. So go to bandcamp.com, type in The Crawling, buy from there. It's better for us.
And then the launch gig is?
The launch is on Thursday the 15th of November.
£3.
£3. A fucking bargain. 4
4
bands, and we're playing a really good set. It's a good mix of the old and new material, and full merch available on the night. You can pick up a new album, and we've still some hoodies and stuff left of the pre-orders. So
excellent. Well, thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me. Awesome.
Stay tuned, and me and Liam are going to give you our thoughts on Wolves and the Hideous White.
Fucking Liam, really?
So you've heard from Andy from The Crawling a little bit about the upcoming gig, about the album itself, and a bit of the history about the band. Now you're going to listen to myself and Mr. Keeld talk about the new album, Wolves and the Hideous White. And I'm even going to hold it the right way up. It was the right way up. Bellend, it's that way. Oops. Fuck's sake. Off to a good start. For reviews, I always like to give people listening or people reading a bit of context about the history of the band. So Liam, first of all, where do you stand on The Crawling, and what do you think of the first album, Anatomy of Loss?
I love them. First time I saw them was Bloodstock a couple of years ago, and yeah, just blew me away. I hadn't actually seen any of the Metal to the Masses gigs at that point, and so that was my first experience, and yeah, it was just something else. And the album was, for me, the best album of 2017.
Yeah.
So it was just so good.
Myself, the first time I heard of The Crawling, I mean, Andy's from Honey for Christ, who are a band I were aware of but never really listened to. Someone came up to me in the Limelight one time, handed me a CD, and it was just one song on it, Choking on Concrete, and I brought it home and stuck it on. I was like, this is fucking outstanding, this is so good. There's a gap in memory. I don't really remember where it went from then. And then just, The Crawling were there. The first album, Anatomy of Loss, I would agree with you. Not only was it the album of that year, it's one of my favourite albums of all time.
Yeah.
Like, not just local music. To me, it's up there with the best Slayer albums, the best Maiden albums, the best Madball albums.
I think they've made that leap from local band now. They're not. It's like, and So I Watch You From Afar, they're not a local band. They're international now.
And I think part of them, the way they only play Belfast so many times, kind of plays into that.
Well, that's how you have to do it. You start off bombarding somewhere, and then once you get established, it's like, right, you can afford to take the time off because you know that people are still going to come. Yeah.
So this is their follow-up album, Wolves and the Hideous White. Before the album launched, they put out a video for the title track. So that was kind of our first taste of what to expect from the new album. What did you make of that?
I thought it picked up where the first album left off.
Yeah.
It does. It seems quite seamless. There's actually, surprisingly enough, for The Crawling, there's a wee bit of hope, I thought, sprinkled into it. Just there's a couple of riffs in there. You're like, oh, okay, that's maybe cheering up a wee bit, but then obviously dive straight back into the music.
I actually think, and I can't pinpoint the exact point, but there's a bit in the melody of Wolves and the Hideous White where to me it sounds like it should go up and it goes down, and to me it gives that sort of like, that miserable despair that they're aiming for. But I would agree with you, whenever I first heard that first song, it was like, this is undeniably The Crawling.
Yeah.
This is what I was expecting. If someone told me you're getting more of the same, this is what I would have expected, because it definitely is more of the same. But then you got the album and you listened to the other 5 tracks. What did you think from that point on?
It's a bit of a slow starter. The first 2 tracks for me, they're good. They're typical Crawling, but like I said, it feels like it's a continuation of the first album.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bit in Still No Sun. The second song, it's got this really slithering riff and kind of makes me feel a bit uneasy. It's like you watch a film and there's like a particularly brutal scene or something, and if it's done really well, you kind of squirm a wee bit.
There's an actual uncomfortableness
in
the music.
And I like that. But then it's the third track, Drowned in Shallow Water. That for me is where it picks up.
I love it.
Yeah, it's sank for me. It's the standout on that album, and it just from there it kicks off. There's like an almost therapy-esque vibe to the
interesting comparison.
Obviously slowed down and a bit sort of more brutal, but it's got that kind of dark melancholy going on. It's for me, it is like the sound of an actual heartbreak.
Well, one thing that I did find a wee just slightly jarring about the album, but now I know why. I thought the pacing of it was slightly off.
Yeah.
But the preview that we got sent
is in different order.
The track listing was in a very slightly different order.
Promises and Parasites was the third track on the one we have, but it's the last track here.
The way the album, or the way I imagine it playing now having a look at the actual CD case and seeing the track listing, I think that will flow so much better than what it did. Highlights for me, the title track was The Hideous White. Another track on it, Rancid Harmony, I think is outstanding.
I think it stands out because it's a bit more, up tempo compared to the rest of the album. It's a bit faster. Maybe I was listening to it. I think it's maybe the most kind of basic song on the album, in that it's just it's kind of straight ahead. There's not an awful lot of messing about, and I think it benefits from that because the rest of the album has so many twists and turns, and it's kind of it's quite slow obviously in places, whereas this is just a driving straight ahead. At
the minute, I think I've listened to this through, I would say 6 or 7 times roughly. And the songs that are kind of standing out for me personally are the ones that sound like they could have been on Anatomy of Loss. So the stuff like the title track, Rancid Harmony, the other one I really like, Drowned in Shallow Water.
Yeah, for me, the other tracks jump up. I think
the other tracks, I just think they need more time, or they need to be heard live, possibly, to get them to really sink in.
See, that's the problem with reviewing an album. Whatever we've sat with Anatomy of Loss for what, 1.5 years, so it's sunk in, and it's you've lived with it for that amount of time. Mm-hmm. We've lived with this for what, a month or so.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, and you can't get the same
and I'll be honest, feel. In that month, there's been a lot of other music come out, so it's I haven't been listening to it maybe as much as I could have, should have.
I have to say as well, I quite like A Time for Broken Things as well. I think it's, it just has a real crushing kind of vibe to it. But then again, there's also within the melody, there's a brief sprinkling of hope in there. For me, maybe that's bit odd, like,
no, it's definitely an interesting thought.
It's just some of the melodies sometimes.
I always thought that, and I spoke to this with Andy, but I'm not sure if he totally agreed with me. The first album, Anatomy of Loss, I always thought it was like someone switching between depression and despair and misery, and then exploding with rage. I mean, if you listen to the song "The Right to Crawl," it is so clear on that to me that there's the bits where everything's just on your shoulders, and to me that's the bit where you're just kind of standing there watching them play, and then when it explodes with rage. Right, there's very little rage on this.
It's a bit more considered, definitely.
And I think that's intentional. He described it as a more mature album.
Well, I think this one is,
and I do think that theme of misery, despair, depression, I think they're heading down that path and taking that theme to the nth degree with this album.
I think as well, this album, from what I understand, is about kind of relationships and how they go wrong, and with various people and stuff. And whereas the last one was obviously dealing with a loss, so it was a singular event where you're gonna get that rage, and it's gonna be sort of a bit over the place like that.
Do you think it's unfair to compare it to the first album?
Yes and no. Obviously, it's their second album, so it's always going to be compared to the first. It's unfair, and like I said, we've only lived with this for a month. Give it 6 months, and then sort of see how it holds up. But
I do think it's an album. No one's going to put this on for the first time and go, "Wow, that's amazing."
Oh no,
I think it's an album that needs to you need to work on, you need to listen to. And
I
let it
suspect,
grow with you.
you know, this might be fucking, you know, controversial opinion, but I think this may eventually be better than the first album.
Once you're deep into it.
Yeah, once you've let it grow and, you know, it's sunk its hooks into you, because there's a lot of albums I've had where I've listened to them and I'm like, I don't like that, but there's something there. It's like, right, but I'm going to persevere with it, and I end up going back to them and they've become some of my favourite albums.
I've said that before. All of my favourite albums took time to get into. Anything that's just instantly likeable will just fade into the background.
Pretty much.
In no time. If you had to give it a score, what would you give it out of 10?
I would give it 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah.
I would give it 8.5. I do really, really like it. I mean, it's the follow-up to one of my favourite albums of all time, so there's always that sort of, you can't help but compare it to what came before. And presently, I still do prefer Anatomy of Loss.
Well, see, that's why it's only getting this 7.5 from myself, because...
But I think it's a great album. It sounds good. They produced it themselves, and it doesn't show in any way. Not that...
It's still made my top 5 albums of this year, though.
Yeah.
You know, easily.
Yeah. So, an average score of 8 out of 10 for the Crawlings.
That sounds about right.
Wolves in the Hideous White.
I can live with that.
We shall wrap it up there then. Thank you very much for the fuck's sake.
We almost made it. Almost.
Thank you very much for watching, and as always, keep listening to The Crawling and their own kind of music.